that was a big thing. We never forgot that, and we were indebted to them for the rest of our career because they made us.
Right.
And you don't forget that. And that's the message I try to explain to a lot of young guys getting into business. You got to know your lineage of this business. We knew the guys that paved the way for us and appreciate it. There's a lot of people, and he'll tell you going through his camp right now, that don't know jack about wrestling because they see it on TV. They don't know. They don't even know who the Road Warriors were. Oh, really?
Oh, come on,
bro. Go look, Google tag team or something. But they don't know. You know, which is surprising to me. Yeah. That's one thing. If I have anything out there to teach anybody who wants to go anything from wrestling schools in the future, know the lineage, know the people that paved the way.
Right.
Because that road getting into somewhere is a lot easier if you already know how to respect somebody.
Well, just like Mike was saying, he's watching tapes and he's learning. So
you're running nuts. But it's nuts to think of this way. Like he's saying, people don't know the lineage. I had to look in a magazine, write a letter to another company to send me a catalog, to then send a check to get a VHS tape in the mail. Now it's at their fingertips and they don't know the history. It drives me nuts.
Now you're running
How do you not know it?
I know. It's so much easier.
Well, you're running a school, and today's wrestling, honestly, 150 pounders, 160 pounders, you're still in the game too, twice the size of these guys. But how do you stay positive, right? Because you got people just looking.
I understand, and don't get me wrong, I don't care if somebody's 150 or 160 pounds. All I care about personally is if they look like an athlete. Mm-hmm. Because there's 150, there's 160 pounder that plays that is an MMA fighter, and they still look like a badass, right? So look like some kind of athlete. You know what I mean? Like if you are 160 pounds and do a bunch of flips, but you don't look like a gymnast because they're all shredded, then why are you 160 pounds doing flips?
Hey, what's your take on bigger guys who are not necessarily cut, but can wrestle their ass off like a Kevin Owens?
See, and personally, there are few and far between. But if you can wrestle your ass off, that's a different thing.
Right.
But then there's people, of course, but there's also people who are in that shape. But there are people that are in that shape that aren't at the level of them. Right. That also try to be like, well, I can be in this shape and I can do this because of him and them. But those are two very special people, right? Not only, Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens might not be your typical pro wrestler, but still you look at them and they look like they can do some damage.
Yeah, they look like they're going to beat your ass.
That's what I mean. So that's human beings can relate to them. That's the whole thing, is getting rid of it.
Right.
One thing Hawk and I were able to do, we learned this a lot from Paul Ellering, right? He was a real shoot manager. We were able, almost through 2.5 decades, change with the times. If you can our gimmick was so far ahead of this time, it would still be hot today, because if Hawk were alive, because of it was just so far ahead with the face paint and the spike shoulder pads, and look at Kiss. They're still having a 15-year retirement tour. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we were, but there's very few rare things in this business like that. But if you're able to change your time, like we were talking the other this morning, while we were standing at the airport waiting, you got guys like, God bless him, Ricochet, great athlete. Mm-hmm. 15,000 flying head scissors in a match. Mm-hmm. I said on my podcast one time, why do you do 15 of them? Why not just do a few of them when the timing's right, or do a dive over the top rope and do the...
Or how about when a finisher's a finisher? It's like everybody kicks out of every finisher
do the triple Lindy flip off the top rope onto the floor when it means something. Don't do it for 15 high spots. They are doing things now. It's almost like monkey see, monkey do in the business. They do it because it's a hot thing right now. They act like it's brand new. You know what? Go Google a tape from 25 years ago. On a WWF, you'll see me dive over the top rope onto the freaking... I forget who it was, Earthquake and Typhoon on the floor. I was 320 pounds doing it, not 150 pounds doing it.
Yeah, but Animal, don't you think it's today's audience that's a problem too?
This is what I was going to counter with.
Yeah, right.
As much as it would be great if we could bring back some of the older strategies of pro wrestling, but I also feel it's a part and parcel thing. Mm-hmm. And within today's time, you got to understand that we don't. So, for instance, I remember talking to D'Lo, because he is an agent at Impact, and I said, hey, you guys whipped each other off a lot. Why? And they said, well, we wanted to keep it moving because people could turn the channel to WCW. Right. And that made sense to me. But now, we're not fighting that, we're fighting this.
Yeah.
So we have 200, 300, 500, how many ever people in the audience. And if we don't keep the action exciting, well, what happened today in the football game? What happened yesterday in the basketball game? Oh, who's got a new picture on Instagram? Who's on Twitter?
But I think what you're saying, it's not must-see TV anymore, right? It's like I'll catch it whenever I want to catch it.
But even at a live show is what I'm saying. At a live show, we're fighting so much stuff. And to be honest, we're in a world more so than ever that you need instant gratification.
Yeah.
And because of all the technology we have. So as much as some styles aren't necessarily what I enjoy, I understand the reason for that, because you got to keep people's attention, and it's very difficult. Like I know I have a 4-year-old son at home. It's hard to get his attention away.
Sure.
Like, hey, you're doing this, get your attention here, and then I finally get his attention. It's just there's always
Life
something
is so
that can.
fast
Isn't
moving,
it also a
moving
problem
now.
that they're not making stars anymore? Like the WWE is about the company, which makes sense, right? You don't want to build an animal anymore because animal can go somewhere
I don't
else,
think
right? It
it's
can hold
sustaining.
you up.
I don't,
Yeah,
but
well,
I don't
right.
think it's sustaining. I don't think creating
Yeah.
one star is sustaining anymore, because right now we're in a time where people get injured more often because of the high risk, because of stricter protocols and everything. People are getting hurt more. They need more time off to recuperate. If you make one star and they have to take time off, it's not as decent as if the company is a brand.
Sure.
So as much as think about it this way. NBA needs to be NBA for great basketball players, and each market's going to have a great team, but the sport of basketball is what they really need to focus. That's why they start moving into countries like Japan and all this stuff. They're trying to go out there to make it more marketable for other places.
marketing has
so the
changed,
NBA is a brand rather than just, Michael Jordan's retired years ago. And as much as they try to put LeBron as that one top star, there's always going to be people, I don't like LeBron, I like this guy. But Michael Jordan was kind of one of those worldly renowned basketball players, so he could be the star. And I just feel like everything has changed, and I really think it's just society is everything is at your fingertips, so you can lose that distraction. I mean, that's every sport. Growing up, if you liked hockey, Wayne Gretzky was your guy. You could like whoever played on your team, but everybody looked up to Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
You like basketball, everybody looked up to